Look around you. Most people believe discipline is about motivation, productivity, or self-improvement. They are wrong. True discipline is not about waking up early or working harder. It is about control. Control over your impulses, control over your emotions, and eventually control over the psychological space around you. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Power does not announce itself. It moves quietly, deliberately, and without emotional noise. The disciplined individual is not admired at first. They are underestimated, ignored, sometimes even mocked. But history shows us something uncomfortable. Those who master discipline do not chase dominance. Dominance follows them. This video is not for comfort. It is not for reassurance. It is not for fragile egos seeking validation. These are 7 brutal lessons that transform discipline into strategic psychological dominance. Each one strips away comforting illusions. Each one hardens your inner structure. Each one forces you to see the world as it truly operates. If you stay until the end, you will not feel inspired. You will feel dangerously clear. The core problem. Most people confuse discipline with obedience. They believe discipline means following rules imposed from the outside. Machiavelli saw something darker and far more effective. Discipline is not submission. It is self-authored control. The undisciplined person is predictable. They react emotionally. They seek comfort. They expose their intentions without realizing it. The disciplined person becomes unreadable. Their silence unsettles others. Their patience creates psychological pressure. Their restraint becomes power. As Carl Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Discipline is the act of dragging your unconscious impulses into the light and placing them on a leash. Now we begin. Lesson 1. Discipline makes you psychologically unpredictable. The first brutal truth is this: predictability is weakness. Most people reveal themselves constantly. Their moods fluctuate publicly. Their reactions are immediate. Their emotions leak into every interaction. They believe authenticity is strength. In reality, it is exposure. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler must learn how not to be good, selectively. The same applies to modern psychological warfare. Discipline teaches you to pause where others react, to remain neutral where others explode, to say nothing where others overshare. This creates uncertainty, and uncertainty creates fear. Think of the calm individual in a tense room. They do not raise their voice. They do not rush to defend themselves. They do not seek approval. People begin projecting onto them. Assumptions form. Anxiety builds. Robert Greene explains this in the 48 Laws of Power. Predictability gives your opponents a pattern to analyze and exploit. Discipline removes the pattern. Real-world scenario. 2 colleagues are criticized publicly by a superior. One reacts defensively, explaining, justifying, emotionally responding. The other remains composed, silent, and observant. Weeks later, who is trusted more? Who is seen as stable? Who appears in control? Not the loud one, the restrained one. Effective affirmation. I do not rush to reveal myself. My restraint confuses those who seek to read me. Lesson 2. Emotional discipline is the foundation of psychological fear. Here is the uncomfortable reality. People do not fear aggression. They fear emotional immunity. An emotionally reactive person can be manipulated, provoked, controlled. An emotionally disciplined person becomes dangerous because they do not respond as expected. Machiavelli warned rulers against emotional transparency. Not because emotions are weak, but because revealed emotions become weapons in the hands of others. Jung called this shadow possession. When emotions control you, others can pull the strings. Discipline trains you to experience emotion without displaying it. You still feel anger. You still feel frustration. But you choose when and if it becomes visible. This terrifies insecure people. Why? Because they cannot locate your pressure points. Historical example. During negotiations, Napoleon was known for long silences. While others filled the void with nervous explanations, he watched. Listened. Let them expose themselves. Silence, backed by discipline, becomes interrogation. Thought experiment. Imagine never explaining yourself unless strategically necessary. Never reacting immediately to disrespect. Never revealing excitement or fear prematurely. Suddenly, people adjust their behavior around you. They speak more carefully. They hesitate. That hesitation is dominance forming. Effective affirmation. My emotions serve me. They do not rule me. My calm unsettles the unprepared. Lesson 3. Discipline separates you from the herd, and the herd resents it. Discipline isolates you before it empowers you. This is why most people abandon it. The disciplined individual does not complain, does not indulge publicly, does not chase approval. This creates distance, and humans instinctively distrust what they cannot emotionally access. Machiavelli understood this social tension. He observed that the masses admire discipline in hindsight, but resent it in real time. When you stop participating in emotional chaos, people feel judged even when you say nothing. Your silence becomes an accusation. Your self-control becomes an insult. This is where most people break. They soften themselves to fit in. They reintroduce weakness to regain comfort. That is the test. True discipline requires accepting temporary isolation. Jung described this phase as individuation, the painful separation from collective identity. But on the other side of isolation lies authority. People eventually seek guidance from those who stood firm while others wavered. Real-life example. The disciplined leader is rarely the most liked early on. But when pressure arrives, they become the anchor. Comfort seekers collapse under stress. The disciplined remain functional. Effective affirmation. I accept solitude as the price of strength. My discipline is not for approval, it is for mastery. Transition. Up to this point, discipline has shaped your inner world. What comes next is more dangerous. Because disciplined behavior does not stay internal. It begins to reshape how others treat you and fear you. In the next section, we will explore how discipline turns into strategic presence, why patience becomes a weapon, and how delayed action silently dominates impulsive minds. Lessons 4 to 5. Discipline as strategic presence and psychological leverage. Transition recap. So far, you've seen how discipline reshapes the inner terrain. It makes you unpredictable, emotionally immune, willing to stand alone. But discipline does not stop at self-control. It evolves. When consistently applied, discipline becomes presence. And presence, when understood correctly, becomes psychological dominance. Now we move into more dangerous territory. Lesson 4. Discipline turns patience into a psychological weapon. Most people act too quickly. They speak before thinking. They react before understanding. They move before the terrain is clear. This is not initiative. It is impatience disguised as strength. Machiavelli warned that haste is often the enemy of power. Those who move too quickly reveal their intentions. Those who wait force others to reveal theirs. Discipline trains patience. Not passive waiting, strategic delay. Patience creates asymmetry. While others rush to relieve discomfort, you remain still. While others try to fix tension, you allow it to grow. Tension is uncomfortable, and uncomfortable people make mistakes. Robert Greene refers to this as the law of timing. Strike too early and you expose yourself. Strike too late and opportunity vanishes. The disciplined individual waits until others are emotionally exhausted. Real-world scenario. In negotiations, one side pushes for immediate answers. They fill silences. They concede prematurely. The disciplined negotiator says little, takes notes, requests time. Suddenly, the impatient side grows nervous. They sweeten the deal themselves. Nothing was demanded. Everything was surrendered. Patience did the work. Thought experiment. What if you stopped responding immediately to messages? Stopped rushing decisions? Stopped explaining yourself under pressure? Notice how quickly others adjust. How uncertainty unsettles them. Effective affirmation. I move when others cannot afford to wait. My patience creates pressure without effort. Lesson 5. Discipline makes you immune to provocation, and that is terrifying. Provocation is one of the oldest manipulation tactics. It exists for one reason: to make you abandon control. Anger, embarrassment, ego. Once triggered, people become predictable. They reveal priorities. They lose strategic clarity. Machiavelli understood this instinctively. A ruler who reacts emotionally is already defeated. Discipline rewires your response to provocation. You no longer see insults as personal. You see them as information. Who is trying to provoke you? Why now? What do they gain if you react? This mental shift is powerful, because when provocation fails, the instigator panics. They escalate. They overreach. They expose weakness. Jung wrote that what angers us in others often reveals our own unmastered shadow. The disciplined individual has already integrated theirs, so nothing sticks. Historical example: Abraham Lincoln endured relentless mockery from political rivals. He rarely retaliated publicly. Instead, he waited and watched. When crises came, those same rivals lacked composure. Lincoln did not. History remembers who ruled the room. Real-life example: in social dynamics, the person who never reacts impulsively becomes the axis. Others orbit around their steadiness. The loud ones burn out. The calm one remains. Effective affirmation: provocation sharpens my awareness. I do not react. I observe, calculate, and wait. Transition: at this point, discipline has reshaped how you react, wait, and respond. But now we enter its most dangerous function. Discipline does not only defend you, it reshapes how others behave around you. From here forward, discipline becomes reputation. And reputation becomes power without effort. Lesson 6. Discipline creates an aura of authority before you speak. Authority is rarely granted. It is perceived. People do not follow the loudest voice. They follow the most controlled presence. Discipline communicates something primal. This person governs themselves. And humans instinctively trust and fear those who exhibit self-governance. Machiavelli emphasized appearances not as deception, but as psychological framing. What people see determines how they behave. The disciplined individual speaks less, moves deliberately, does not rush. These signals are processed subconsciously. Others adjust their tone. They seek approval without realizing it. They hesitate before challenging. Authority emerges before words are spoken. Modern example: in meetings, notice who speaks first and who speaks last. Often, the final speaker carries the most weight. Why? Because discipline allowed them to listen fully before acting. They are not filling space. They are claiming it. Thought experiment: imagine entering a room without trying to impress. No forced smiles. No nervous energy. Just presence. Observe how quickly dynamics shift. Effective affirmation: my discipline speaks before I do. Authority follows my restraint. Lesson 7. Discipline turns scarcity into psychological leverage. Here is the brutal truth most never accept. Scarcity creates value. Undisciplined people are always available. Emotionally, socially, psychologically, they overshare, overreact, overextend. Discipline introduces scarcity. Your time becomes limited. Your attention becomes selective. Your approval becomes rare. This shifts power immediately. Machiavelli warned against generosity without strategy. What is freely given loses influence. Discipline teaches you to withhold without hostility. You do not chase validation. You do not explain absences. You do not justify boundaries. Others feel the gap. And humans instinctively desire what is not easily accessed. Real-life example: the person who responds sporadically but meaningfully is valued more than the one who responds instantly to everything. Scarcity amplifies weight. Effective affirmation: my attention is earned. My presence is not disposable. Transition to final section. You now understand how discipline evolves. From inner control, to emotional immunity, to presence, to authority, to leverage. But one lesson remains. The final lesson is the most uncomfortable. because it forces you to choose who you are becoming. In the final part, we will uncover the last brutal truth, then conclude with a synthesis that permanently alters how you see discipline, power, and yourself. Lesson 8. Discipline makes you strategically untouchable. This is the culmination of all previous lessons. Discipline, when perfected, creates a state where you cannot be easily manipulated, predicted, or undermined. Most people operate on impulse. They react to praise, anger, or fear. They are always negotiating reality. You, the disciplined individual, no longer do. You dictate the psychological terms of engagement. You set the pace. You control the narrative. You appear untouchable not through intimidation, but through composed inevitability. Machiavelli wrote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves." Discipline makes you both. You see the traps before they are set. You move like the lion, unstoppable, deliberate, lethal in precision. Historical example. Consider Otto von Bismarck, the architect of modern Germany. He combined patience, calculated manipulation, and relentless discipline. He rarely overreacted. He rarely revealed his true intentions. And by the time others realized his strategy, they were already caught in it. Thought experiment. Imagine never being pulled into someone else's chaos. Imagine acting only when you choose. Imagine your calmness alone altering the course of events. That is the ultimate form of psychological dominance. It is not loud. It is not flashy. It is inescapable. Effective affirmation. I am untouchable because I master myself. I control the terms of engagement, not others. My discipline is my armor, my weapon, and my presence. Conclusion, synthesizing the lessons. Let's recap the brutal path you've walked. Discipline makes you unpredictable. Silence, restraint, and timing confuse others. Emotional discipline breeds fear. Your immunity to provocation becomes a weapon. Discipline separates you from the herd. Isolation precedes authority. Patience is a psychological weapon. Waiting strategically forces others to overreach. Immune to provocation. Your calmness unravels the impulsive. Presence communicates authority. You are perceived as in control before speaking. Scarcity creates leverage. Your attention and approval become valuable. Discipline makes you untouchable. You control the psychological environment, not the other way around. This is not a theory. This is the practical architecture of dominance. A structure built quietly, consistently, and ruthlessly. If you commit to these lessons, you will not just improve. You will transform your entire psychological presence. People will notice. People will hesitate. People will adjust their behavior, often without realizing why. Apply them deliberately. Observe the patterns around you. Strengthen your inner command daily. If this video sharpened your perception, hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment sharing which lesson challenged you the most. Your engagement is part of your strategic growth. Remember, knowledge without application is illusion. Discipline without patience is chaos. Dominance without psychological mastery is fragile. You now hold the blueprint. What you do with it will determine if you remain ordinary or become untouchable. Power moves silently. It is measured. It is relentless. And above all, it respects only those who master themselves first. Discipline is not a habit. It is a force that reshapes your mind, your presence, and the world around you. You have been warned. Now it is your turn to act.